So this is going to be a triggering video. For those of you who have triggers with Nerf toys, I suggest you do not watch this video. Now, for those of us who have had parents arrested in front of you, you may understand how this could be triggering or even emotionally hurtful. So my parents had been arrested. My grandmother had bailed them out. My grandmother had custody of me and my sister. We lived in a one-bedroom apartment that was a couple of blocks from my uncle's house. And they had been fugitives for a while. George had been already caught. My mom had been looking for another place to stay when one night she got really, really sick. And she decided, well, my grandmother convinced her to stay with us so she could take care of her because she was so sick. So my grandmother and her were in the same bed. My sister was in her crib and I was sleeping in the living room on the sofa. In the middle of the night, the door slams open, crashes open. I wake up with a Nerf toy in my face with a grown man pointing it, telling me to sit still, don't move. I hear the running all over the house. There's chaos in the house. The lights in the bedroom turn on. The lights in the rest of the house are kind of turned off. So I don't know how long it took it felt like it took an eternity for the person to realize the Nerf toy that's being held to my face is I am a child, not an adult. I am now a danger to you. But eventually it was. But in the meantime, I'm hearing my sister scream hysterically, who is no more than 2 years old. My grandmother is pinned up against the wall and trying, only because my mom is only in a t-shirt, is being body slammed against the floor because I can hear it. And my mom is crying in Spanish, saying they got me, they found me, they got me. And she's sick. And my grandmother is just trying to get her a robe, at least to dress her, because all she is in her underwears and a t-shirt. And they're handcuffing her. And so they take an elderly woman and they slam her against the wall. I get to the point where I'm running up into the bedroom and I get to my sister and I pick her up out of the crib to calm her down because she is just hysterical, crying. I mean, she's 1.5, 2 years old, the max. And we've all been woken up in a most chaotic an environment possible, with all these men dressed in black like SWAT with Nerf toys the size of something that you would see in the military, and for a house with only 2 women and 2 children, it was a little chaotic. And there is nothing more traumatizing than hearing all of this go on, having been woken up, because I feel like I was the first one woken up because I was in the living room. The door slamming open because the sofa was right next to the door, and with a flashlight and something pointing in my face. For the longest time, I couldn't move. I wouldn't move because I was threatened not to move. And then when they finally realized, oh, she's only a child. I mean, what danger can she pose? I guess. I don't know the logic. I can't tell you because it was so chaotic. And then hearing the sound of my mom's body hitting the floor. My mom weighed $105. There was not going to be no fight back. I mean, I get their job, but let's put it into perspective. You walked into the room and you saw what was there. You had an elderly lady, a baby in a crib, and a woman. Okay, so it, it angers me. That's one of my biggest traumatic experiences of this whole thing that went on as a child, is the every moment and every second of that whole incident, of that whole night, replays in my mind. And not like a memory thing, but like I can remember it detail by detail by detail. I can tell you when they took her and they dragged her, because they didn't let her walk, they dragged her to the car. And there was somebody else outside our house, and that person was being detained. And it was so infuriating because of the way they treated her. I was hysterically crying myself. My grandmother was crying. My mother was crying. And I'm seeing this and I'm just like, what just happened? My mom was sick and she just came here because she was sick. And so, of course, how do you process that as a child? As a little girl who all she knows is that her mom was sick, she was being taken care of by her mom, and her kids are there. And now there's chaos and there's craziness, more than she had ever even put her own kids through. So some of you might say, well, that's her fault. Well, you know what? Yeah, maybe. But we all know that things happen in law enforcement that should not happen. If they were scoping out the house, they would have known who was at the house. They would have known it was only an elderly lady, a sick woman, and 2 children. They didn't have to come in the way they did, like stormtroopers. There was no reason for it. Because that's something that now forever in my mind is what, when I hear something like that happens, that's what I think of, what those kids, whoever's kids are in that house, when I hear it happen on the news. I think of those kids. My mind goes to the kids, not the parents, the kids. Because I've lived through it. And so there's chaos. So clearly there's a lot, to unpack on that one. And the fact that my baby sister, who is not even 2 years old, had to see that, and she's screaming uncontrollably, and I'm the one who had to comfort her because my grandmother was so distraught she couldn't even calm herself down. I mean, I was the comforter. I had to comfort my grandmother. I had to comfort my cousin. My sister. And then in the middle of the night, hurry up, get dressed, and walk 3 blocks to my uncle's house in 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Because then now we needed to get because my grandmother didn't drive. So we had to get in a lawyer.